And with me in studio now is Mr. Brian Altunian. He's the CEO of WOWIO Incorporated. Brian, always good to see you.
Hey, Don. Thank you. Good to be here.
You know, you're one of the easiest guys to interview, especially when my voice is like this, because all I've got to say is, Brian, what's new?
I'll take it from here then. Well, a lot's been going on with the company, Don. We're obviously beginning the S1 process to take the company out to the public market, going through the SEC audit, doing all of the normal steps, process that I'm very well familiar with. And so while that's moving forward, I actually get to focus on building the business. And so what we're doing now, we're going to start to launch our initiative, what we call our Studio W campaign. So, you know, WOWIO Inc. has, first of all, we've got great patented technology. Our ability to insert ads into ebooks gives us some priority, some preference in that ebook space, and that's a space that we know, we love, and we've embraced. But as we've seen and as we've explored, the digital media landscape is still really wide open. And so our Studio W, our digital media initiative, our Studio W initiative is all about building a brand strategy for published material. So the idea that we can take a piece of intellectual property, a novel, a book, a screenplay, a graphic novel, a comic book, and actually not just do what I think people are commonly seeing is that there's an eventual track from a book to a movie, but really looking at what the digital landscape can provide. And there's a whole bunch of ways to build brand awareness, to build an audience behind a piece of intellectual property, a piece of content. So we look at, and it was really focused that it's always an afterthought. You know, good book becomes a movie, and then maybe it's a TV series, and then maybe there's some of these other elements, and it's sort of like happenstance. Well, if it's successful, then we'll go this path. Right. But our perspective is go from the beginning, go from the inception, build a brand strategy around that, build awareness in the online landscape, build a graphic novel, build a comic book, do book trailers, talk about where the movie's coming. Books are generally a piece of a broader universe of information, right? This book is a story. A movie is a 2-hour sliver of a story. Right. And so, but online, because there's such a huge appetite for content now, you can build webisodic series that are side stories, prequels, sequels, basically cross stories. And that's really what we think is, as you build an awareness, you build a campaign around a piece of intellectual property, fans will start to come. The Twilight series showed that, fans are rabid. If they like the material, they'll consume a whole bunch of product around that material, and obviously the movies are the big kicker. So our Studio W initiative is all about building brand strategy around published material, and that's our big push as we build our business.
Well, obviously you have a lot of personal experience in this, because I'll just go and use 2011 as an example. The name Brian Altunian was listed in the closing credits of a couple of major theatrical releases that actually started as books in your hands, and you took those from that concept of being just a book and an ebook, and then moved it into, as I said, major theatrical releases. That's
right. And to some degree, when it got to the point we were dealing with Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard and really a lot of the big names, once it got to that point where the studios were involved, our ability to really kind of expand the brand strategy approach was limited, because we were restricted in what we could do because the studios had control of the property at that point, and that's really kind of the point. It's the desire to you write something and then you hope that it gets to be that big. The problem is that between step A and step Z, that road is you're hoping and you're twiddling your thumbs a lot, and then all of a sudden you're restricted to what you can do. So our perspective is build a strategy around that property early, knowing that the movie is a possibility down the road, but you're not relying only on that movie or only on that movie's success or lack thereof. The key is that build awareness, build a campaign around the property and use the property as a brand. And by the way, because of our advertising piece in the ebooks, when we go and talk to advertisers about a brand strategy, brand strategy to an advertiser means something completely different than it does to everybody else. So advertisers, as a piece of subsidizing the cost of an ebook or an e-comic or an e-graphic novel, they get it and they want to participate in a broad digital strategy. So we're speaking brand strategy to the right audience, to the right set of ears, and that's really the big push for Studio W. And as we move from ebooks and into a broader digital media initiative.
It's interesting because early in my career I was in the ad agency business for a number of years, primarily in the 80s and mid-90s, and we didn't have this kind of stuff at our disposal.
Right.
I mean, we had TV, radio, newspaper, billboards, and after that it was really ancillary stuff. To have this kind of ability to get our clients' message in front of people who are so narrowly targeted,
exactly,
that we know if we get the message to them, they're going to take an action.
Absolutely.
Without even thinking about it.
Absolutely.
That is such a tremendous advantage.
Well, and that's what we think so too, that granularity of a campaign, and because the digital landscape provides, you can download apps and games and books and and articles and things to read, and people want free content. Well, it's not free to, the author has to be paid. We want our authors to be paid, our publishers to be paid. Advertising is a place that comes in. That's where the business model works.
And it's StudioWDigital.com?
Yeah, so we've expanded our efforts. Obviously, WOWIO Incorporated owns a number of properties online. So StudioWDigital.com is our corporate site. We'll be expanding it now for investors and for folks who want to see more. It has our links to WOWIO and our webcomic site, The Duck, and Pop Galaxy, and a bunch of other efforts. So StudioWDigital.com is going to be our main corporate.
So check it out, StudioWDigital.com. The company's WOWIO Incorporated. Brian, thanks so much.
Thank you, Don.